Hi all, I am Dr. Deepak from the Department of Business Administration. Today I am going to talk about research methodology. Okay, this is for third year business administration students. You have a core paper called as research methodology. So this is a series 1 in that. Okay. So today agenda is going to be explain about the meaning of research, probably the definition and various types of research and good characteristics of research. So what is research? Basically, see, the business administration comes under the domain of social sciences. So research has different meaning in different domain, not the meaning exactly, the way they realize the things. Say for an example, in people thinks that research in the sense working in a lab with chemicals or probably many lab equipments and the scientists, so many things may come into our mind. But with respect to research in social science domain, what is it? Let's see now. A careful investigation for new facts in any branch of knowledge. See, we are going to investigate things in order to know about the facts, what is there, or probably in order to get some knowledge in that particular thing. That is called as research in social science domain. Okay. Let's see one definition which will give little more clarity on this. Redman and Murray said the research is a systematic effort to gain new knowledge. So what is explored already, it's a fact, it's a proven thing which is available for use or reference or whatever it is. Alright. So, which is the present source of knowledge. In order to get some development in it, probably like, little more developments or little more insights in it. Alright. So, while performing the research, it's nothing but a systematic effort. We could able to gain some new insight in that, so that the source of knowledge can give, in the literature we can give a new space for this, a new kind of understanding for this concepts or something, right? So, here Redman and Murray stated their opinion with respect to social science research is a systematic effort to gain a new knowledge. Okay, right. Let's move on to another definition given by Clifford Woody. He says is defining and redefining the problems. See, actually we are trying to find out, we are facing a problem. Basically we are facing a problem. When we face a problem, we are trying to find out a solution to overcome or to manage in an effective way. We may try to find out a solution for further smooth flow of action. Alright. So the underlying fact here is, if you have a very good understanding on problem, people says, the half of the problem is solved when you have a very good understanding about the problem. It's nothing but defining and redefining problem. At initial stage, people understand a problem in such a manner. Then later on, when they get into a little deeper, people may have a different understanding on the problem. So at any point of time, people need to have a very good understanding. So people may define something as a problem, what they face at that point of time. Then later on, people faces different problems, maybe inclusive of collection of problems, or little more, because of little more good understanding on the problem which we understood earlier, people may try to redefine the problems. Alright? Then, when we faces some kind of problem, automatically our mind gives some opinion about it. The part of, the problem side. Maybe problem is in this, between these, or influence of this on that. In such a way, people will have many assumptions. Many assumptions will be there. Actually, in order to find out the fact, we have to move on with this assumption, and while our research journey, by doing many analysis and exercises, we may come to know what is the actually correct thing, that is called as, the assumption is right or wrong. So, basically the assumption is called as hypothesis. Hypothetical statements may influence for example, the factor job satisfaction is there. Probably many factor influences job satisfaction, maybe like, working environment, alright, the trade union movement, or maybe remuneration level, or interpersonal relationship. All these factors may influence, but the researcher feels here, he assumes, he perceives the job satisfaction has a very great influence from the phenomena of remuneration level. When the remuneration level is poor, it leads to dissatisfaction among the employees. When the remuneration level is good, people feel satisfied. This is actually a researcher's assumption at this point of time. We have a long way to go. Of course, we have a long way to go. We need to find out. We need to find out the fact by doing many analysis by having many data and analysis. By performing the analysis, we will be knowing at the end either the perception or the assumption, not perception, the assumption of a researcher is right or wrong at the end. Alright? Then objectives, always while doing things, definitely will be having an objective. Actually, what for we are doing this exercise? What are we trying to know out of performing this in a clear-cut manner? Alright? So that should be there. Then after that, it is a sequence, basically, if you see here. Then we will be collecting a data, possible data, then organizing those data in a stipulated manner. Then we will be doing many evaluations on data. Alright? Many evaluations will be done on the data which we have collected. And after this evaluation and analysis, a detailed analysis, we will be knowing certain facts. That is actually deductions. We have deducted, as I said, early part of this slide, I was telling you, like, the researcher assumption here is the job satisfaction of an employee will get influenced by the remuneration level, of course, the remuneration level will have a greater influence on the job satisfaction of an employee. This was an assumption of a researcher. Then at this stage, we have collected a data and we have done many analysis and evaluations was done. Now we are getting we are coming to know some facts. Actually, we are getting something out of this exercise. That is a facts actually. So now we will reach the conclusion. Either the earlier part, what researcher what was the assumption, that is the right assumption. Of course, that's going to be the conclusion. Of course, the level of remuneration will influence the level of job satisfaction to the greater end. So this the thing. Then later, and then. Okay, this is actually a definition given by Clifford Woody. Okay, now let's see what is the characteristics of research, how it should be, right? What are all the good qualities? A good research, how it should be, we must know. See, we are saying a person or a student or a learner is good or bad. We are saying, right, he is good. No, he is bad. In what way we are saying good or bad? We know the underlying characteristics of what is good and what is bad. So when we are getting or we are facing some characteristics of good things, then we stamp him as a good student or a good learner. All right. So at this aspect, in this juncture, we have certain characteristics of research. One is systematic. Of course, it must be related to one another. It must be sequenced in a particular way, right? One next to one in such a way, right? There should be a logic in flow, right? Then, so it must be in a systematic way. It should not be taking this as a first step and getting into the fourth step and coming back to the second step. So we cannot roam like on our own way. It should be a very, very systematic, well planned and systematic. Then there must be a logic in this. See, why you have done this, and when you get the results like this, I can interpret in this way. So when I get the results like this, I can interpret in that way. So there should be a logic in all your interpretation while doing a research. If the logic is missing, then we are not giving a clear-cut output for the future generation. So our research must be very, very logic, and it must be empirical too. Always we should produce an evidence on the thing which we say, basically. All right? We say, as I said earlier, there is a greater influence of remuneration level on the level of job satisfaction of an employee. Okay, this was an assumption of a researcher at the beginning of research. Then later part he has collected a data, then analyzed the data, results have obtained. Now we are trying to give our conclusion. We have published. Now the conclusion is available for public use. But people may ask you, you have given like this, what is the evidence for this? That's the thing. Alright. So always we must give an evidence, we must carry this. Alright. Then objectivity. See, it should actually our research must be started with the research questions. The research questions, the origin of research question may be the statement of problem. Not maybe, it's of course it is a statement of problem. You have faced a certain problem in this society. Yes, I'm facing some problems. Okay, in my business or whatever it is, there is a problem. So the problem can be written on a paper. All right, it can be stated and it can be narrated well. The statement of problem is ready. Now, based on your problem, you are going to create some research questions. Whatever in your mind, because see, even a researcher used to frame a hypothesis. All the assumptions may start when we have a very clear-cut understanding on the research questions. Okay, so when you have all these things are ready, then you can able to write down your objective very clearly. So always your research should have an objectivity. Then replicable. See, it must be reusable and reproducible. It should be in such a nature. Then it is simple. It should be very clear and others should be able to understand what you have given. Then transmittable. Of course, this should be applied everywhere. This must be applied everywhere. So when we have done in one geography, when we have done a research in one geography, it should be carried out in another geography also. Alright. Probably the problem at one corner may be the problem of another other corner too. So these things must be transmittable. Then quality control, of course, we cannot, since it is a research, there should be a logic and systematic and evidence must be there, then automatically it will have a quality. If we have sacrificed those things, if it is not so systematic, if some logic was missing and some evidences was not available, then definitely the quality of the research is going to be the question mark. Alright. So if we have not sacrificed the above set points, definitely we can have a very good control over the qualities. Okay. Right. Now let's see what type of research are there. Okay. Fine. There are researches pure and applied, exploratory and formulative research, descriptive research, diagnostic research, action, experimental, analytical, historical, and finally the great thing for the management domain is case study. Alright. So in all these aspects we can carry out our research. These are all different types basically. So any of this manner we can take it up. Okay. But it has some suitability or purpose, right? When you have a purpose in such a way, you must take that particular research, that type of research. Okay. So as a researcher, you must have a careful understanding on these types of research and your purpose, so that you can take or choose a right kind of research type. Okay. Okay, pure and applied research. Pure, of course, it is the study of search of knowledge. See, the pure research is wanted to gain a knowledge in the domain. Probably in initial stage of this session, I was telling, trying to find out new insights in domain. So it's improvising the knowledge, right? So development in the domain. In that particular purpose, we will be going with pure research. Applied is quite different. It is nothing but trying to find out a solution for the problem. We have a problem, and of course a researcher has a very good understanding on a problem. And now the researcher trying to find out a solution for a problem. What may be the solution and how it can be the solution, and all these things can be taken out of performing applied research. Okay. Then exploratory or formulative research. Of course, exploratory research is a preliminary study of an unfamiliar problem. See, the problem was existing for quite long period of time. We have developed some source of knowledge in this out of performing research, and those research was done in previously it was done. Okay. Now the researcher want to create some new knowledge domain. For that purpose, researcher may go with pure research. But exploratory or formulative research is, the problem was not there before. The problem was entirely new, right? And the scenario, there is no source of knowledge, or maybe very little some knowledge or understanding towards a problem. So there is no such things for reference, all right? Now the problem is entirely new, highly unfamiliar to the society and to the researcher too. So in this case, the researcher may go with exploratory or formulative research type. And descriptive research, of course, descriptive research is a fact-finding investigation. Already the problem was existing, some source of knowledge was developed, and even we can say some developments on the source of knowledge was done. So to a certain stage, the source of knowledge is there, but still we wanted to investigate and try to find out little more understanding towards the problem, and the interpretation was little inadequate. So we are trying to give an adequate level of interpretation. See, people have tried before and they have gone up to the analysis level, they have given some inference in this, but the interpretation was not so good in the earlier researches. So we are trying to give and we are trying to boost up the adequate level of interpretation by doing an investigation. Some expert comes, they wanted to explore some new things through their expertise. So in such a way, here we can we are trying to understand a little more understanding on the problem, and also we are trying to provide adequate level of interpretation on the problem. Okay, so it helps the future researchers to have a better understanding towards the problem and what can be the perfect solution for the problem. And people used to collect data for this through observation or interview or through survey based questionnaires or maybe a mail survey or whatever it is. Because one good thing you have to see here is, if you wanted to have a adequate level of interpretation on the data collected, on the facts which were found before, you must have enough amount of data on your hand. So here people used to perform the survey and they take a hardcore effort to get a data. Okay, so this is descriptive research, and most of the social science research basically depends on this type of research. Then diagnostic research. Diagnostic research, it is like we are trying to discover what is happening on it. Basically, some problem is going on, and while the problem is on, we are trying to understand and diagnose the root cause of the problem, basically, so that the cause are understood properly by the researcher. Then we can able to give a possible and perfect solution for the problem. That's the thing. When the problem is on, when you have immediate solution for the problem, then you must diagnose the root cause of the problem. Then see, it's a simple thing. If the doctor wants to treat and cure the disease, what the problem, what patient come across, then the doctor must have a very great understanding towards the problem faced by the patient, as well as he must diagnose the root cause of the problem. Then he will be giving a very perfect medicine to them, so that the patient will get cured very soon, right? So this is diagnostic. And action research, they are trying to improve the way they address the issue. See, initial stage of understanding on problem is something, and later part, when we travel in the journey of research, we may have a little more clear understanding on the problem. So the action research is actually, they wanted to take some actions on the problem which goes on, so they are trying to improvise the way we address the issue and solve the problems, right? So it is nothing but the boosting up the things, right? The parallelly things can happen. One side is the improvising the problem, improvising the understanding of the problem, not the problem, right? Improvising the understanding of the problem, and another side, how better we can solve the problem, right? The experimental, it is again a good kind of research. People used to manipulate with one or more variable here. Some situations may be given, some kind of things may be given and taken back. Like, see, if you wanted to know the working environment of the guy, see the perfect ergonometric arrangements of furniture and has been given in set of days, probably for a week of time or 10 days, and again the person have shifted into some working environment where the furniture was not so arranged properly and which is not so good for working condition, right? So in such a way we used to do an experiment, and mostly these things, this kind of research will be taken in the domain of science, but even in social science also, like consumer behavior and behavioral study. On the side of behavioral study, people used to take this experimental research. Okay, analytical research, basically this will be taken in the domain of mathematics and science also, right? They work with the numerical data, and they taken up the systematic procedure and techniques in order to analyze the data, right? So the core part of this research is going to be like a pure analysis is going to happen, right? So that's the thing. Historical research, as we know well, right, what was happened in the past, it is nothing but the postmortem of the things. Why we do this kind of research, in order to have a better future. See what was the things happened in earlier days that helps us to have plan the future days in a better way. So in such a way the historical study is taken. But the case study, when I was listing out the various types of research, I already said this is a great thing in the management domain. Case study, basically it's a real time things, right? What is happening in an organization or in a society, we'll be taking up, we'll be doing in-depth investigation on very small part of it. It's nothing but a micro level of research. Alright, even a small piece of things will be taken seriously and will be analyzed in a deep manner. Alright, so this is a case study method. So these are all the various types of research. So let us recap the things what we have seen in series 1 of research methodology. So we have seen the meaning of research and definition of research and few good characteristics of good research and also various types of research. So thank you. Let's meet in another session, the series 2 of research methodology. Thank you.